My next guest is Dr. Brandi Kelly. Brandi brings over 20 years of heart hustle and hands-on experience to the world of education. A licensed clinical social worker and Maxwell certified coach, she's worn many hats from school social worker to principal to superintendent. Along the way, she's also been honored with the NAESP Distinguished Elementary School Principal Award in 2014 and Middle School Principal of the Year in 2021. Dr. Kelly is proud to be a part of inspiring networks like the Illinois Association of School Administrators, Teach Better Network, Illinois Principals Association, and the Educational League of Illinois. She loves sparking change through speaking, writing, and hosting the Lead with Hope podcast, where she shares real conversations about leadership, resilience, and growth. When she's not leading with hope, you'll find Brandi spending time with her family, getting lost in a good book, or exploring new places. Well, welcome to the podcast, Brandi.
Thank you for having me on the show, Dana. I really appreciate it.
Well, you're a returning guest. Your first episode was in late 2022. So in the show notes, I'll reference to that episode and put a link in. So we'll start off with a trench story, but this will be a different trench story than what you shared on the first time you were a guest. So tell me about a time when you were in the trenches and managed to crawl out.
All right. So, Dana, I have talked to a lot of school leaders, more so recently than the last time we even spoke. But the thing that I am seeing more and more around really the world, but definitely around the state of Illinois, is there's a lot of leaders out there that are hungry for community. They're hungry for connection and belonging and community. Leadership can be a very isolating role, whether you're a leader in a school or a leader in a corporation. It really doesn't matter. I'm hearing it from a lot of different places that people are feeling isolated and they just need that connection and that community. And, I can reference my experience, and oftentimes we do it to ourselves, to be really honest with you. And I think about when I was a principal, my husband and I moved to a new community, somewhere where we really didn't know very many people. And I started serving a elementary school, and I had almost 400 students under the age of 7. And unfortunately, I didn't do a very good job of plugging into the community that was provided to me. Now, in time, it came and I was able to develop that community. But I think as leaders, we need to start doing a better job of reaching out and building that community and prioritizing ourselves. People sometimes feel like that's being selfish, but you can't pour from an empty cup, and we have to take care of ourselves. We have to build that community. And I also talk about another leadership strategy that I was really forced to have to use, and that is rest. I am a very type A person, and I push and I push and I push. And sometimes that's how I cope with some of life's hardships. And if you don't take care of yourself, your body will force you to take care of it. So one way or the other, we need to prioritize community, connecting with other people, and rest and self-care. So in a roundabout way, that's my trench story, but it's really, I think, affecting a lot of leaders in our world today.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because as people go into leadership jobs and move to different roles in education, sometimes they might have good habits and then they let those fall by the wayside based on the demands that they have in their role. So we're here to talk about your book, which
Yeah.
recording is launching in about a week. It's called Lead with Hope, HOPE, Building a System of Self-Efficacy. So talk to me a little bit about the idea behind the book and
Yeah.
some of the messages that you would like readers to learn from reading.
Sure, absolutely. So I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share about my book, because um, it really started to take shape when I started blogging for Teach Better back in 2020 during the pandemic. And I started writing about kind of the issues that I had faced starting way back when I was 15 years old and my brother Brandon drowned. And, as I really started reflecting on my early traumas in life, that one in particular, I realized that it was because of that that I chose the field of education. And I feel like helping people is really more of a calling than a career for me. It is something that I was put on this earth to do. And over time, over the last 5 years, I have written and edited this book. And my publisher, Darren Peppard, and I, with Road to Awesome, just are planning to release it Monday. So on May 5th, it will be available on Amazon. And it's about building a system of self-efficacy. And when I say self-efficacy, that is a belief in yourself. You're a belief in your ability to produce a better future. And I think that is where hope became very important and impactful to me, because as I reflect back and I think about when Brandon drowned, there was a community. Our school community really rallied around our family, and they helped us. They gave us hope in that time. They reminded us of all of the good in this world. And so for me, building that self-awareness and self-efficacy really does serve as a way to help ourselves and each other build that community and build that better future.
Yeah, and I think really for leaders who are looking for ways to grow their knowledge and connect with others, really helping them learn more about these self-efficacy tools, along with, like you said, finding a new community, like
Yeah.
you moved as a principal. It's not always given to you, and there isn't always that support at the
Mhm.
school or district level. So I think we're all here as educators to serve,
Yeah.
but it can burn you out if you're
Mhm.
not like, trying to find those tools yourself. So, is there anything that you wanted to expand upon in terms of just having that HOPE
Yeah.
acronym that you have in your book?
Yeah. HOPE is an acronym, and it stands for habits,
Mm-hmm.
optimistic outlook, which is mindset,
Mm-hmm.
purpose, passion, and perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
The end of that E is excellence, and that is kind of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just give leaders a little taste of the HOPE framework in terms of habits. So for habits, sometimes we have to break some bad habits and we have to start building some better, healthy, adaptive habits. And that is where I really think that self-reflection piece comes in, because we have to take a really good look at ourselves in the mirror and figure out why we are doing the things that we are doing. Build that self-awareness. And for habits, once we have a good idea of that, we can start intentionally building habits that are going to produce the life we want to achieve. And when you really think about what it is you want in life, and you think about the habits that you're implementing right now, in 5 years, where are you going to be if you keep doing that? If it's not where you want to be, then let's look at what we can replace those habits with. Something that I do every day is when I get up in the morning, I read a devotion, and that helps to ground me in what I value in this life. Another thing that I think is very important is exercise. I have been very, very bad at taking care of myself physically over the years, but that is a goal that I have for myself right now, and I'm doing better. And it's amazing what just a little bit of physical activity will do for you. And when you pair a habit with something that you really like to do, like I pair that habit with listening to one of my favorite podcasts. And so I get on my bike or I go on a walk and I pair those habits. It has helped me to do something that I otherwise haven't been able to solidify as a habit in the past. And then finally, the other one that I really encourage leaders to implement is the habit of practicing gratitude, thinking about just one thing that you're grateful for and starting your day off with focusing on what you're grateful for, because there's so much power in that. It's a huge mindset shift whenever you get up and you say, I have to go to work, as opposed to I get to go to work. And you think about the things that you are looking forward to and the things that you're grateful for when you get there, for instance. And I think those simple habits, there's so much power in the simple things in life, but those simple habits can help you to build that self-efficacy to help you produce the life that you want.
Yeah, no, I really like that piece about the habits. And, if a lot of people are kind of stuck in a mindset of negativity, what can you do to replace that mindset? Like you said, instead of the have to go to work, what is a good thing about the role that you have, and how can you approach that in a more positive way with gratitude? As we end, as of recording, we're ending the 24-25 school year, and you are leaving the superintendency,
Mhm.
and you've been a superintendent now for 3 years, correct?
I've been a superintendent for 3 years and a principal for 10 years.
And so you will be taking a big step outside of the
Yeah,
district
a big,
now
yes,
and
a big scary
launching.
step, Dana.
Yes. So you'll be launching your business, Spark Hope EDU LLC. So talk to me a little bit about some of your goals for the business and what kind of services you'll be able to provide schools and districts.
Yeah, so my goals for the business are to provide school districts with keynote speaking, specifically around this Lead with Hope piece, just providing a framework and a system, because I do believe, as James Clear says, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And we have to start personalizing our professional development and being able to provide individuals with professional development that is going to help them grow both personally and professionally. Because whatever we bring into that classroom or that office or that school or that district, that is what we are giving our kids. And our kids deserve the best that we have to give. So we have to invest in the adults in our building and build their self-efficacy and build a culture of hope in our schools so that our adults can thrive, our cultures can thrive, and our students can thrive, because our students are our future, and that is where it's at. And I'm super passionate about that. So it starts with the speaking engagements, but I'm also going to provide coaching and consulting for leaders and for educators. And with my background in clinical social work, I kind of am going to blend my leadership experiences with the mental health background, because if you look at the statistics around mental health, it is alarming how much it is growing. Depression and anxiety is through the roof, not just for our kids, but also for the adults serving our kids in our schools. And so we have to start investing in the adults, and we have to start personalizing our professional development. And through Spark Hope EDU, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and I really like that point because a lot of districts tend to have programs centered around SEL for students, but not so much the SEL for the adults, right?
Absolutely.
And we're
Yeah.
at an all-time high of like teacher turnover and people not wanting to enter the teaching profession because of that burnout, but also, I think a lot of teachers don't feel valued in the profession, which can lead to depression, and the anxiety piece can be, in terms of just maybe how their year or class is going and the
Yeah.
support they may or may not have. So I really like how you will be able to tie that in and using your counseling background to help districts and leaders. So will you be able to do both district speaking and coaching and more convocations and breakout sessions at conferences as well? Tell me a little bit about how that's going to look.
Yeah, as a superintendent, one of the things that I appreciated is whenever we could partner with the professional development provider and
Mhm.
really look at the needs of my district. And
Yeah.
so that's what I plan to do. I plan to, meet them where they're at, and build the programming they need in a, 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 very custom fashion. So it may be a keynote, it may be coaching, it may be consulting, it may be breakout sessions. It just depends on what they need, what they have, and where they plan to go. But I think part of it, Dana, is just looking at each organization or school district and looking at their values, looking at their mission and their vision, and then personalizing that for the people in those systems, and tailoring it to the values, the vision, and the mission.
So you also have a podcast. So it's also called Lead with Hope. Tell me a little bit about how long you've had the podcast, and do you have certain themes that you interview guests around, and how many episodes have you recorded so far?
Yeah, I have recorded, right around 40 episodes. It's a bi-weekly podcast called the Lead with Hope podcast, and it's really just around the Hope system. And so I ask my guests about that acronym and which one of those letters resonate most, or which one of those ideas really resonate most with them and why. And it's fascinating to me to hear their story, to hear which one of those ideas resonate most with them and why. And then I delve into a low point, a frustration, an adversity, or a trauma that they have faced. And we talk about that as well, and how they have overcome that to lead with hope. Because my overall mission in doing all of this is to really spark hope. I want to put more light into the world. I have a friend, Lori Frank Hopkins, and she also is in this space doing coaching and consulting. And she talks about finding the good, you
Yeah.
know? And I think we need more of that, not toxic positivity, but the good, bringing out the good, focusing on the positive, focusing on ideas like gratitude and joy and hope and happiness, and just highlighting that and helping people get more of that in their life. Because as you said before, our schools, the morale is low. There's a lot of toxic cultures out there. There's a lot of people that are hurting, and they need hope. They need help. And I just hope that I can serve them and help them along this journey, because our kids need strong educators and leaders in our school systems right now. And I have 3 grandbabies. And thinking about them and their future, I just want a brighter tomorrow. I want them to have all of the opportunities that can be provided to them. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we help one another.
Yeah. I really like how you framed that in terms of how people can come out of that trauma or a difficult situation and leading with hope, right? Find the good and find out,
Yes.
like, it's a little bit of my mission as well with the podcast is
Mm.
like, what's helped you go, what's helped you become resilience and education
Yeah.
despite that trench, right? So
Yeah.
we've had a great conversation today around your goals for your consulting LLC that you're launching, as well as your book. Out of everything we've talked about today, what's one thing you'd like listeners to remember?
The main thing that I want listeners to remember is that we're all on this journey together, and we get one life.
Mm-hmm.
There's no do-overs. So make it count.
Mm-hmm.
Find the joy, find the gratitude, find the good, and lead with hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, where can people connect with you and find you online?
I'm on most of the social media platforms as either Brandi Nash Kelly or Lead with Hope. I also have a website, www.sparkhopeedu.com, and they can find me there, and I would love to connect with them.
Great. I'll make sure I include that in the show notes. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast again today. And, I wish you all the best in starting your consultancy, and hoping that people will have you come in and work with their staff.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on the show, Dana, and it's always great to connect with you.